Ladies and gentlemen, Lukáš Dostál has finally dialed himself in and is getting locked on. That and more on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome, everydayer. Thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Kyle Carr. I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan, and I have spent multiple years covering collegiate sports, including college hockey. But here on Locked On Ducks, we are always talking about the Anaheim Ducks, and they've been giving us a lot to talk about already this season with some exciting games. They took on Chicago in a very hard-fought battle, and we'll get into that a little bit later, as well as what they have coming up in the near future. But first, I really want to get into the state of the union of Lukáš Dostál. Where is he? What's he looking like? How are things going for him? Should we be concerned? Should we be excited? What is the status of Lukáš Dostál, the goaltender that Anaheim has just signed and locked up for quite some time at a pretty good sum of money? So how are things going with Lukáš Dostál? Well, if there's any indication of the state of Lukáš Dostál, it is that game against Chicago. And I don't want to get too into the details of how that game went, but in regards to Dostál's performance, I think that game was an absolute goalie clinic from him and Spencer Knight. But you got to see just how dialed in Lukáš Dostál is now. He is getting a little bit more settled in. I think with this new defensive system that the Ducks are using, it's taking a little bit of adjustment to get used to. And, you know, there's a little bit more speed in front of you, a little bit more disorganization, and it's going to happen. Things are going to take a minute. And I think you finally saw that he's getting back. He's getting dialed into shape and in that good NHL form that we are expecting from Lukáš Dostál. It just took a little bit, and it's not to say that his games have been bad. It's just the numbers don't look the best when you break it down, and if you're just looking at that perspective. But if you look at his actual game and how he shows up every single game and the way he performs is a total different story. He's been playing extremely well. The thing that I've noticed with Dostál too is that a lot of his initial saves have been spot on. A lot of the scoring against him has been either secondary scoring or the Ducks not covering up on defense and leaving a backdoor opportunity open. That seems to be the biggest crutch for Anaheim right now, and it's nothing to go against how Dostál has been playing from the eye test and everything like that. When you witness the way he is and how he reads plays and the attempts that have been on him, like, or the things that he has to battle through during the games, I think he's doing just fine. There's no reason for concern. I'm going to look at the numbers here and kind of explain why I say, like, don't be concerned. But again, don't be concerned, but these numbers just aren't pretty. I didn't expect them to look like this. That's for sure. But again, they're using this new defensive system, and after that Chicago game, things are starting to look a little bit more locked in for him and understanding just kind of how to read off of this new system and how guys need to rebound control off of him or what they need to do in regards to Dostál. It's just getting dialed in. And I think this road trip is going to be good for that. But looking at the numbers, against Seattle, the first game of the year, he saw 31 shots and saved 29 with a .903 save percentage. So above 900, pretty decent. Didn't get the win, but it was a good fought, hard, close game. First regular season game against a team that they didn't play against in the preseason. Not a bad showing. Pittsburgh, 31 shots with 28 saves, and you've got an .880 save percentage for Lukáš Dostál in that game. So not as bad. Gets the W, but it's just under 900. So kind of drops his numbers a little bit there. Then the Carolina game. That's where things really kind of dropped for him, but that was a one-off. Carolina is going to be a solid team against all teams. They are dialed in. So Carolina, 32 shots, 28 saves, a .874 save percentage for Lukáš Dostál. And then looking at Chicago, 20 shots with whoops, I put 28 saves again. I meant 20 shots, 18 saves with a .933 save percentage. Messed up my notes there, but yeah, 20 shots, 18 saves, .933 save percentage in Chicago. That was hard fought. Yes, not as many shots there. The Ducks were doing pretty well against the Chicago offense and trying to shut down lanes and everything like that. But the numbers also don't represent what I think was how much volume was coming at Lukáš Dostál. Remember, those are all shots on goal that I mentioned. So it has to be a shot that hits Dostál and it doesn't hit the plumbing, doesn't hit the pipe, it doesn't miss wide or anything like that, and it doesn't hit a player in front of Dostál. It has to be off of his pad. He has to make the save, and that is considered a shot on goal. So looking at the Chicago game alone, the amount of plumbing that was hit in that game was absurd. It was ping after ping. I'm going to get into that more in the second section here, but there was so many shots that were luckily not into the back of the net and hit the pipes, either the crossbar or the sides. In the Chicago game, first period, Dostál saw 10 shots. And then in the second, he saw 6. And in the third, he saw 9 and 5 in OT. And I mentioned this before, the saves that he's been making initially have been brilliant. He's had to make some insane saves already, crossbody, post to post. He's had to make some quick glove saves. There was a gnarly shot by Bedard that he had to save. And then even all the games beyond Chicago, he's had to make some ridiculous saves. And the goals that have been going in are just goals that aren't necessarily anything that he could have done different to get to. I don't think there's any other goalie that could have made a save on some of these plays that have gone in against him, whether it's a nasty redirect, a backdoor play where the Ducks defense just wasn't there at the right place, forwards not back checking, a little bit of pressure. Like I feel like maybe if he was 100% like at full Dostál, like he's been in it there, ready to go, like probably mid-season form, he could have made some of the saves, but they've all been really dangerous shots. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that he's not making he's not giving up a muffin or something, or he's not giving up a shot from the blue line with no traffic and he just misreads it. He's making the saves that he needs to make, and then some. The goals that are just going in are unfortunately more of the defensive breakdowns and not too much on Dostál's side. I'm sure he, in his mind, has a bunch of things that he'd like to work on, but I don't think we have to worry. I think he's finally dialed. He's finally locked in. Chicago showed us with how under pressure that game was and how locked in and dialed he was the entire game, and that unfortunate rebound bounce off of him in the overtime game-winning goal. He makes this crazy initial save off of a 2-on-none. It might have been a 2-on-1, but makes the save. The puck gets bounced loose behind the net, and he's off to the side, and he tries to recover. And by that time, Bedard makes the pass to Donato, basically an open net. So unfortunate ending. The Ducks do get the point, and Dostal was locked in. Let's get more into how that game went and just how hard fought that battle was, and some of the players that stood out. We'll get into that coming up. Let's be honest. Most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. So coming back, Ducks and Blackhawks faced off on Sunday in a kind of matinee game for us in the West Coast, but pretty decent game for a Sunday competing against the NFL. You know, not a hard or not an easy task to do. And I felt a lot of people were watching that game. A lot of people were dialed into the Chicago Ducks game on a Sunday, and it was an exciting and fun game. The score, low scoring, but the amount of chances and the amount of energy that game had was extremely, extremely exciting. I thought it was all guns ablazing the whole game. Like the the plays that were being developed, the physicality of the game, the speed, the goaltending is really the big thing. But overall, there was just a lot to take away from this game. I think the Ducks and the Blackhawks have this really, really massive competitive rivalry brewing. It's not a like you know, LA or San Jose type rivalry where it's geolocation and it's just this like hatred and you're playing against each other in the preseason all the time and you're close and the freeway face off, all that kind of stuff. That's really not what I'm seeing. Like, it's not this grimy, dirty play type rivalry. But it's more this competitive rivalry. You got Spencer Knight on the Blackhawks, who's this up and coming, really dialed in goaltender. Then we've got Lukáš Dostál on the Ducks, who's a young upcoming goaltender who's dialed in. And then you've got Connor Bedard, the first overall pick in 2023. And then you got Leo Carlsson on the Ducks, the second overall pick in 2023. So those two battles right there alone are massive. Then you got Chicago trying to reinvent their identity. You've got the Ducks with the Stanley Cup winning coach of the former Chicago Blackhawks when they went on their tear through the Stanley Cup playoffs of Joe Quenneville on the Ducks, trying to get these Anaheim Ducks a new personality, a new identity, and it's starting to come together. You've got some strong defensive players, big, big bodies on the Chicago Blackhawks back end. You look at Anaheim, you got Jackson Lacombe, you've got Olin Zellweger, and you got Pavel Minchikov coming up. And then there's Stain Solberg down in San Diego, Tristan Leno, and then the man who was the ultimate Swiss Army knife came up out of nowhere, gets added to the lineup, and puts on a pretty much a do what the coach asks you to do clinic. Let alone the goaltenders. The goaltenders, they were having their clinic. They were doing extremely well, battling, making great saves. But then you got this guy coming up, playing forward, playing defense, getting double shifted on both. And that is Ian Moore. Comes up, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant out there. I thought it was a wonderful performance from him. No offense to Ross Johnston. I know I'm always bringing up Ross Johnston. He seems like he's a good culture guy, but to have a kid come up and is willing to take forward minutes, willing to take defensive minutes, and is out there on the ice, getting his name called left and right, showing up, being noticeable. He was making breakout plays. He was making good forward, plays down low. He's getting good zone entries, playing against the boards hard. He showed up. I was absolutely impressed by that performance. And then looking at the guys that are supposed to be stepping up, they did. They were doing their job, but the story of this game was ping, 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 ping. The amount of times that both Chicago players and Anaheim players hit a goalpost was absurd. Pipe after pipe. The goalies had their angling, but every time they got beat, the pipe was there to back them up. It was absurd. Leo Carlsson doing everything he can to get this team on the board, working hard, getting some crazy plays through, nice passes, nice shots, has this opportunity, gets down low below the defense, burns Spencer Knight, and puts it right on the goalpost. And it just whips off the goalpost right along the goal line, never crosses out. Somehow, absurd. McTavish, finally, Mason McTavish gets his first goal of the season, giving him 5 points, a point per game player. Love to see that. Troy Terry gets the assist on that one, and Lacombe gets an assist as well, giving him his first point of the season. There you go, Jackson. Lacombe's been playing really well, just not really showing up on the offensive side of things. Defensively, he's doing everything he needs to do. Nothing to worry about there, but good to see him finally get that first point. That's a monkey off the back. You get Mason McTavish with his monkey off the back. He's going to start getting cracked. Seneca's going to start making some goals go in. He was looking great as well during this game. Beckett Seneca fairly, I keep saying dialed in this game because that's just what this game was. It was a bunch of young, hungry, talented hockey players that were doing everything that they could to win that game and shutting down every opportunity that they could for against the others and making every opportunity they could. It was just so back and forward. It was exciting. Hockey is in a good state right now, let alone with, Spit and Chicklets making a name for itself, the way TNT's been doing things, the way that Locked On NHL all around the board, that network, we've been growing. We've been getting so much more following. There is a hunger for hockey right now. And then we've got kids like Connor Bedard, who's completely changed his attitude. Leo Carlsson, Cutter Gauthier, Jackson Lacombe, Beckett Seneca, kids like Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini. There is a culture brewing in these young players that is fun, and they are competitive. They don't care what is going on. They're willing to do anything and everything to win, and they all have personalities. It's a great era right now, and they are starting to take this league over. Beckett Seneca looking so good for the Ducks team, making things happen. Unfortunately, Gauthier, he gets kind of snake bit in this one. He's been trying to get on that board, man. He's been awesome with his shots. 4 shots in this game, but couldn't get cracked through. Couple of pipes as well for him. Mikael Granlund, this poor guy, bro. He is snake bit on goals. He led the team in this one with 6 shots, which coincidentally he only has 8 total shots so far this season. So majority of his shots this season came in this game, and he was having penalty trouble left and right. Went to the box a few times. And then that game, I mean, Hawks get the first goal fairly late in the third. You're thinking, oh, great. Well, that was probably it. And the Ducks battled hard. They worked hard, drew a penalty, and then getting that 6-on-4 and McTavish just roofing that nice little snipe pick for his first goal gets the Ducks to OT. So at least they get that point. And then I kind of explained it earlier, but it was just an unfortunate save bounce gone wrong. He made the great initial save. That is Lukáš Dostál makes the great save, gets bounced around, and then it ends up in the net. And Spencer Knight, all hats off to him as well. The Ducks nearly double, or they almost had 10 more shots than San Jose. San Jose. Why did I say San Jose? I was thinking of Will Smith from Chicago. So Spencer Knight definitely put in a lot of good work, and his saves were massive as well. He stuffed Chris Kreider, keeping a goal out that should have been pretty much a guarantee goal there. It was a fun game. If you haven't watched it, I recommend watching it. Check out the highlights. Hockey's in a good place, and I think the Ducks and the Blackhawks are going to be one of those core rivalries competitively that you're going to see through the next couple of years. This is going to be one of those storylines that's going to keep going. The Carlsson and Bedard battle, the Dostal and Spencer Knight battle. This is going to be absolute entertaining, absolute cinema type hockey for the next few years to come. Chicago, Anaheim, must-watch TV for the rest of this season. And speaking of the rest of the season, the Ducks got Nashville Predators coming up. What do they have to expect out of them? We'll get into that next. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Maybe you're not that big on watching the games, but you put a little something on there, you get a little tuned in, you start to enjoy it a little more. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So now the Ducks, after that loss in overtime to Chicago, are heading off to the Nashville Predators at Bridgestone Arena. They are coming up next on Tuesday night. It's going to be kind of a Tuesday evening here for Ducks fans in the West Coast. The Predators are 2-2-2 on the season. So literally, excuse me. My goodness, I got attacked there. So they're literally mid, perfect 500. On their team, Eric Haula, Roman Josi, and Jonathan Marchessault lead the team in points with 4 each. Out of those 3, Roman Josi has only 1 goal. The other 2 there, Eric Haula and Marchessault, they have 2 goals each. On the team, they got Michael Bunting, Ryan O'Reilly, and Nick Perbix. They also all have 2 goals as well. Beyond that, though, not a lot of scoring for the Predators. There's just not a lot of offensive depth on this team right now. 15 goals for 19 goals against. That's a -4 differential. Ducks have kind of the same differential, but they have 14 goals and 18 goals against. So not as many goals scored, but not as many goals allowed. So take that how you will. The Nashville power play is ranked 31st first in the league. Not good at 8.7%. The Ducks fans all know what that's like. We have been there, but not right now. Not right now, boys and girls. The Ducks are ranked 7th at 25%. Let's go in the top 10. Let's keep those numbers up. I think this is an opportunity to really drive home some good power play goals this game. UC Saros, a little cracked. He's playing pretty well right now. He's played 5 games and is 2-1-2 with a save percentage of .919 and is at 2.35 goals against. So the Ducks are going to have to get their work cut. They're going to have their work cut out for them, and they need to get that first goal. That is the priority. The Ducks have yet to score the first goal in a game. It needs to be done. If the Ducks can get the first goal, and with how they are playing, they're going to have so much fun, and they're going to shut teams down. They're going to put an absolute chokehold on teams and just start cracking through. I know it. The first goal in a game for Anaheim will be absurd. Seeing how they can come back in a third period and score, how many times they score in a third period. Pretty sure their highest scoring period right now is the third period. If they can get one in the first and then just have that endurance and that pace of play throughout the rest of the game, they're locking games down. Absolutely shutting teams down. It needs to happen. First goal of the game. I'm seeing it. I think they're going to break through against Nashville first. They're hungry. They're tired of talking about it. They're tired of talking to Zach Kavanaugh and Derek Lee after games saying, yeah, should have got more through. We got to get that first one. They're going to do it, and they don't have to have that conversation anymore. Looking at some other numbers comparatively between the team, Justice Anunin, he is their backup. This is the guy that could potentially be in net for the Ducks. I kind of doubt it with how on alert already teams are with the Anaheim Ducks, but Justice Anunin has played 1 game. He's 808 in that game and had 5.07 goals against. So he must have had 5 goals scored or 6. I don't know how you get 5.07 in 1 game, but that's statistics for you. Philip Forsberg and Michael McCarron, they are throwing the body around for the Nashville Predators. They are players that you need to watch out for. 17 hits each, but comparatively, looking at the Ducks, Radko Gudas has 19 hits, Trouba has 18, and Vetrano has 15. So put a little context on that for you. Tyson Jost leads the Predators in takeaways with 5. And the Ducks side, we've got Mason McTavish and Jackson Lacombe leading the team with 3. Nashville is ranked number 3 in offensive zone and defensive zone time. So that is something that is going to be a little concerning. Ducks need to change that and not let themselves get hemmed in, and they need to keep hemming the Predators in. They seem to have a pretty good ability to get the puck out of their zone quickly, and then they're also hemming teams in right now. They're just not getting the scoring that they need to come away with victories. So 44% in the offensive zone compared to the NHL average of 41.1%. And then they're at 38.4% in the defensive zone compared to the NHL average of 41.1%. Comparatively, looking at the Ducks are ranked 10th in ozone time at 42.4%, so above average, but not quite 44%. And they are 8th in the defensive zone at 39.9%. So pretty quick getting the puck out as well. But Nashville just a little bit better on those zone time coverages. Most of the shots for the Predators, you're going to see them coming from the mid-range area, kind of like the dots of the face-off dot area, mostly from the left face-off dot. If I was the goalie, it would be my left side. So from the goalie's perspective, that left face-off dot is kind of where a lot of their shots are coming from. They have pretty only really dangerous place that they've really been scoring from. That's just from what I saw. Looking comparatively at the Ducks as well for that, they've been taking most of the shots from the left point by the blue line. So again, from the goalie's perspective, up high at the blue line, that's where the Ducks have been shooting a lot of their shots from, and also the right hand faceoff dot. 21 shots there, 20 from the blue line, and then around the right half wall area from the goalie, that's been 16 shots. So, and that's, I think, a lot of the power plays where you're seeing a lot of those shots coming through. But again, the Ducks need to get that first goal of the game. That is the thing that is going to unlock a whole new level of excitement for this team and a whole new level of competitiveness. And I think that once they can take a lead in a game and see what it's like to play with the lead and not be chasing the whole game, it's going to give them a whole new look at how they work and how they play. And it just needs to happen. So, Smashville, we're going to smash you with the first goal of the game, and the Ducks are going to have a great game. Really excited for this one. It should be a barn burner. I don't know. Is it I don't know if it's gonna be a barn burner, but I definitely think it's gonna be a fun one. And I expect the Ducks to come out big with a W on this. I think when I went on Later Rivals, I said they would be losing this one. Darn. I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. I think they're gonna come up with the win. They're gonna be hungry after that Chicago OT loss. They're bringing a new energy. I look forward to it. I think the Ducks are going to win every game they're going to play, though. So that's just me. Thank you, though, for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night, until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you go like and subscribe to the Locked On Anaheim Ducks YouTube as well. Comment, go talk to me on social media. And as always, I'm Kyle Carr. Be good out there.